Fantastic. And as we're going, there's always that weird little part when it's like, it looks like it's loading up, but it tells us that it's live. So I never know if we are. And so, hello, everybody. Welcome to Divine Flow Expo Love Edition. I am Michelle Ambergy, the Awakener. We're here with Judeann Bodell, the Shamaness. And we are going to be talking about love today. We put this event together for everybody because we are all very heart-centered, love-centered people. And we realize that at this time, we all need a little extra love. We all need that love. We are going through such major changes in not just our country here, but the entire world is shifting and changing. And what is really needed is love. Love, love, love. So we welcome everybody. Very quickly, I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to share this out so that everybody gets an opportunity to watch it. I think of it as sharing the love. So we are sharing the love out there. I hope everybody's doing good. I hope everybody had a fantastic Thanksgiving. Those of you that are in the States, I know we've got viewers from all over the world. We've got friends in Canada. We have friends in Mexico. We have friends in Ecuador, Peru, Panama, Chile, Australia, New Zealand, England, Germany, Switzerland, Italy, South Africa, Japan. So we are worldwide and we're so excited and we welcome everybody. Judeann, my darling, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Oh, I'd love to.
Being a shaman and being a shamaness has always fascinated me. I've studied a little bit, but you have immersed your life in this. Tell us about shamanism, and tell us about what you do.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to share about it. It's not just near and dear to my heart. It's really who I believe I am and who I came to be. And it was as big a surprise to me as to anyone. It was one of the, it wasn't something I went looking for. Let's just say that it was waiting for me when the time was right. And I think that's true for so many healers. So shamanism is an ancient practice, as we know, and I do cover this in my video as well, talking about how it predates by many, many, many tens of thousands of years, organized religion, psychology, psychiatry, all of it. It's foundational, and it's really interesting because it's a set of practices and principles and beliefs, but it's not a religion. So you can be of any faith or no faith and participate in it. It really is an honoring of the sameness of the energy of life force, and recognizing that it is in everything indiscriminately. It is not more in us than in the animals, not more in the animals than in the plant life and the insects and the creepy crawlers and the birds and all of that. Everything is animated by Kaosai, which is living energy. And when you really understand that, it's kind of a game changer, because I think we're taught in some traditional religious practices, certainly, that we have dominion over things, right? That we are, everything is here in service to us.
Yeah.
And really, we're all here in support of each other. And we are also bred, I think, all of non-Indigenous cultures in particular, on valuing our differences more than our sameness.
Yeah.
And we see that in everything. We see that in identifying so strongly with sports teams that have really nothing to do with us, except it makes us different than the neighboring town, or, collegiately, or, everything is based on the first thing we do is we notice the differences instead of the commonality, which is that we are all living energy, and at our core, we are of the divine, that means, and that we carry in us the seed of the divine. And what is the divine but unconditional love? Tying it back to this. And so how do we then use these ancient practices that have evolved over time, because shamanism is certainly not a dinosaur, albeit, quite old. It evolves, and it stays true to its principles, but it evolves to be practical no matter what era we find ourselves in. And so that's a really important aspect of it. I personally just found it to be incredibly healing, and I just resonated with it so strongly. And the practices just help me harness that energy and live in integrity and live in Aini, which is a very important principle of shamanism, which is that reciprocity, the giving and the taking, and the giving to give and not just to get, and really being in support, and not just of each other, but in service to the mother, to Mother Earth, and to all of its creatures. So it's just a beautiful, beautiful practice. And as I said, it found me. It found me, or was waiting for me, or waiting for that juncture in my life. And I was so taken with it, and I couldn't quite figure out why. And then I know why. I know why it's so appealing to me, but it still just seems an oddity even to me after all of these years now working in it and with it, that this was my path, because there was nothing leading up to it that would have foretold that. Although I was very spiritual and a healer as well. I was a hands-on healer for many years, but this aspect I was like, what?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Now,
yeah.
how long have you been studying shamanism?
I have been studying it. It's important, I think, to clarify and say that I started as a client of Isabella Stoloff, who's a shaman and a healer in Orange County. And I went to her.
Amazing being, by the way. Shout out to
She's
Isabel.
an amazing being. I have learned so much from her. She's continued to be a friend and a mentor to me, and she was a teacher to me as well, as my healer. And honestly, it was quite by happenstance. I was in my second marriage. It was going south quick. And I remember thinking, I'm going to handle this differently than I've ever handled trouble in a relationship before. I'm not going to externalize it. I need to understand why I'm the common denominator in what's happening here. And why do I keep attracting this energy and, nurturing it along and encouraging it and so on. And I was looking up counselors in Orange County at the time. And at the same time as a counselor came up, as did Isabella. And I remember reading it and I thought, oh, I mean, this is how ignorant I was to it. Honestly, I was like a blonde shaman. Right? I mean, I really just thought about it in indigenous terms. And I read about how she worked and her focus and how she helped people. And I thought, wow, that sounds cool. And I made an appointment with a regular counselor and her at the same time. I wound up seeing both of them. And while I got some great information and insights from the counselor, he was very helpful in some of the conversations I had to have. This was a whole other experience. And I just pretty quickly asked if I could study with her, because I wanted more. And then I also started studying almost concurrently with Esther Jenkins, who has the School for the Shamanic Arts up in Glendora. And I loved her approach as well. So I was taking both of these courses very, very deep in it. Yeah, it was a lot. And then at a certain point, not that far into it, Esther asked me to start as a TA and then a co-teacher. And now I'm a teacher at the school as well. Oh. And yeah, and running my own IUs in partnership with another teacher there, and our own groups. And it is the most fulfilling, beautiful work I've ever done. And I've had a great career in corporate America, and I still have my career. But I tell you what, that's only made my work in shamanism has made me better in every way, shape, and form, including in my role at work. There's a marked change in how I interact with people. How I, my vision for things, everything has been influenced by this. So that's the short answer. The short, long answer, it's been about 5 years or so, which is, for a tradition that goes back tens of thousands of years, I feel like a newbie, as they say. But you know what? That doesn't matter, because I don't believe that anyone comes to this work who hasn't done this work in previous lives. This is Absolutely. Not to fall that hard for it and to recognize it the way I did. This wasn't my first rodeo. So, yeah.
Yeah, I felt the same way when I started with the pranic healing.
Mm.
And I couldn't get enough. And I was like, what is this? What is this? And then a woman who was a Reiki healer came to one of the pranic things and she said, have you ever heard of Reiki? And I said, well, what is that? And man, as soon as I realized there were two, this energy, I got energy. I understood energy. I knew energy was in everything. I could touch a chair, a wall, anything, and I could feel it. And what was interesting is I used to be able to see the energy in things. When I was about, well, I still can. When I was about 11 years old, I'm going to totally tell him myself. I had a friend of mine, and I'm so glad my mom and dad are not here to listen. Cover your ears. She borrowed a cigarette from her brother because we were going to sneak off and smoke a cigarette. Well, it had marijuana in it. And so we both got a little bit high. And I remember looking at the wall and I'm like, oh my God, I can see through the wall. And it wasn't that I could see through the wall, but I could see the energy in the wall. I could see the cells of the wall. I'm like, everything is alive. And from that point forward, I had that experience to this moment. When I look at things, I see them solid. But when I soften my gaze, I see the energy of it, and it's everywhere. And when you start understanding that everything is frequency, everything is energy, it shifts the way things go. And so that is how I ended up here. But also with what you're talking about, and I love this, that the shamans are bringing this, is there's life and spirit in everything. It's so important. And I feel like that is kind of like next level understanding for humanity as a whole, because we have been separate and we've been told, we're not quite good enough, talk to God, but if you go to the preacher, he'll give you something, or to the minister or whatever. And also we've been so separated because we've been separated into physical, we go to the doctor, mental, we go to the psychiatrist, spiritual, we go to your rabbi or your preacher, whatever. And we've been so fractured, and shamanism brings it all
together,
back together. And of course it would totally affect your life in all areas. And I love how so many of our healers that are in the Divine Flow Expo, they're either working in, a corporate thing, or come from that, because I know I was an accountant for years, when all of a sudden I'm like, and yet it all works together. It's all part of it. And Judeanne, I've known you for a long time, and I know what a magical, beautiful creature you are. It's so fun. I just adore you. But, and also, Judeanne, I know that you created a free video for all of our viewers to go and take a look at and check it out. What is your video about? I know you call it the Shaman's Path on the Wings of Love. I love it. Tell us about your video.
Yeah, I'd love to share about that. Thank you, Michelle. And thank you for, for articulating that so beautifully about how important it is and where that divisiveness comes from. And I will tell you that, as any good little shaman, I've done some plant medicine myself. And I will tell you that accelerates that ability to see. That it's no surprise to me that your experience came as a result of having that bit of cannabis, and that my most profound experiences have been that knowingness that you can't unknow. You see it all. I saw the web of the universe. I saw all the interconnectedness, and it was, it's the sweetest of sweet. It almost feels like when you've crossed over and people say, who've had that feeling of like, everything was love. I just knew love. And it is possible to experience that to a very profound and strong degree while we are still incarnate here on the earth. And even without plant medicine, it is possible by coming to that place of understanding of who we really are and what self-love, and then in turn, real love of others is. And it is, a bit different. And so now, speaking to my video, I talk a lot about Munay, which is the Quechuan word for unconditional love. And it's very different. They say, it's a verb and a noun. And it's quite different than how we tend to think about love. There's no possessiveness in it. There's no agenda in it. There's no self-servingness in it. It is just this pure love that comes from honoring the sacred and the divine in all of us, and the great compassion that comes from that, and the fearlessness. And I don't mean I'm going to rappel off a mountain kind of fearlessness.
You're not going to sleep in one of those tents hanging off the side of a cliff?
That might come maybe next year. I'm not sure. But right now, what it means to me is that I choose to focus on what is the same within us, and understanding that fear, the divisiveness, fear is caused through that divisiveness.
Yeah.
And fear, it becomes kind of this vicious cycle, right? Fear, divisiveness, and you see it right now in the world. It's at a
big time,
a fever pitch. It's at a boil, a hard boil. And it is, you see it in politics. You see it in these hate crimes. You see it in everything. People are so afraid of what's different.
Yeah.
And the world cannot continue like this, and it won't continue like this.
No.
And we have to find a way to look at things differently, look through the eyes of the shaman, which says, value our differences. We don't say nothing's different. Yeah. The world is full of contrast. We came here to be in contrast to some degree, right?
Exactly.
That's how we grow. That's how we learn. That's how we know things. We measure one against the other, but it's not from that place of harsh judgment. It's simply, that's different. And how can I find compassion in there? How can we find solutions in the differences? How can we honor the differences? And that doesn't mean we condone, quote unquote, bad behavior, right? We don't. But what we have to see is the wound that causes the bad behavior.
Yes.
And we have to send energetic love to that. And the saying, hurt people, it's true. And that's not a cop-out. And it's not a permission slip to just do anything you want. But it is this understanding that, we just come from a lineage of people who have been hurt and held down and subjugated to terrible things, and privately and sometimes culturally. And how do we work through that? And it really is as simple as it sounds, and it's not simple. It's love.
Yeah.
And it is so transformational to understand that. But first, it starts with ourselves. It starts with loving every aspect of ourselves. And I will tell you, when I started on the road to self-love, I had no idea what that meant, really.
Yeah.
I didn't know if I had a right to it. I didn't know if it was going to make me selfish or vain or, hard. And it's had such the opposite effect. And it took, oh my God, it felt like I was moving a mountain, literally, to get to that place where I could admit that at my core, I was love, and I was deserving of that. And I held that seed of the divine within me. I fought it tooth and nail. And I had to work through with my shadow, all of the disowned parts of myself, and bring those back and accept those and love those. And as I did so, I was in turn able to offer that gift to others, and to see that in them, and just think that so many, even horrendous things, come from that place of isolation and fear.
Yep. And
then we act out. And I was, thinking about that trial the other day with those 3 men in Georgia, and who finally got, convicted for killing that young Black man. And, you just look at them and you just think the fear that the singular focus on difference drives that behavior.
Yeah. I read a story about a place in Africa, one of the beautiful tribes in Africa. When someone misbehaves, we'll use that word, they don't throw them in jail. They don't condemn them. They don't hate them. They don't bring mobs of people to scream and yell about them. They circle them, and they put them in the circle, and they send them love, and they tell them, oh, this just is so beautiful. They tell them all of the beautiful things about them. and the whole tribe gathers around and tells them everything that's beautiful.
Mhm.
That is what is needed now.
It is. It
You
is.
you have spoken such beautiful truths.
Oh, thank you,
Dan,
Michelle.
thank you. We needed to hear this. We needed to hear this because love is the answer. And love isn't complicated when you get down to the core,
Mhm.
because love is the core of who we are. It is our soul. It is the energy, frequency, consciousness in which we were created. And it's so important. What a beautiful
It
message.
is. I want to share something real quickly, Michelle. It
Yes,
actually came
please.
as a result of a session I did with you a number of years ago. And you had asked me or given me the direction to go on a vision quest and just at home.
Oh
Again,
my
right out
gosh,
in
I
the deep,
remember
dark
that.
woods. Yes. And I did. I took a day or two off from work at the time, and I told my kids, you know, they're young adults, and I just said, hey, I'm going off the grid for, you know, X amount of time. And I remember sitting in prayer and meditation, and I started seeing this montage of images coming to me of all of my wounds, all the ways I've been hurt over the years, and all the ways I've hurt others. And I just sat, and it was so overwhelming. I felt like my heart was going to literally explode out of my chest.
Mm.
But I knew what I had to do with it. And that was that every image that came to me, I'd say, come back to me. I love you. Come back to me. I love you. Come back to me. I love you. All of the wounds on all. And even when it came to the ugly parts of how I'd hurt other people out of my own wounds, I brought those back. And I sent them love, and I accepted them because I knew they were just part of that fearful, broken self that once was me and is no longer. That was so profoundly healing for me to kind of unflinchingly look at all of it. You know, we want to turn away. We want to be distracted from that. But
Sure.
the healing comes from, you know, Carl Jung said, where your fear is, there is your task.
Yes.
And it's true. It's true. If we
Absolutely.
start with that, what scares me? What makes me nervous about other people of color, of gender identity, of this or that? What am I really afraid of? It really always comes back to what it's going to do to us somehow.
Yeah.
Right. And if we can turn that to love, we will change the world. We will be a new world. And I honestly don't it's become so exaggerated how bad things are getting. It seems like daily they're getting worse and worse and worse.
Oh,
And
yes.
yet, at the same time, conversely, there's you, there's this work, there's so many healers coming forth. All the people who put their hand up on the other side of the veil, right, to say, when we were choosing this incarnation and said, send me, we got a body like that. And we came down here to do this work and to be here at this moment and to be part of this awakening and to share this light and this love and remind people of who they are at their core. Find it, shine a light on it. It has no power over you once you shine a light on it.
No. And that is really the key. Thank you so much for bringing that up, because I know I talked to so many people that they're like, I don't want to be here anymore. I am afraid. Even people that are healers, people that are, you know, really, you know, advanced thinkers. It's gotten so intense. It's gotten so scary. It's gotten so, like, you just never know what's coming next. I mean, I know I caught myself over the last couple of weeks checking in and just wanting to see the news. Now, I don't look at mainstream news. I look at my conspiracy theory news, which is amazingly becoming more real than the news. It's like, what's next? And I really had to tell myself to, like, stop. You know, I took a couple apps off my phone, so I can't check in. I have to come into my computer because I was getting caught up in what's next. Oh my gosh. And I had to recognize within myself that that is coming from a fear place.
It is.
And holding my frequency, my consciousness, my understanding is really important. And so, you know, speaking to people, everybody who is here chose to be here, whether you're a healer, no matter what you're doing, whether you're on the dark side or the light side, whatever it is, we've all chosen to be here at this moment in time to experience this. And if everybody could take a moment and honor that within themselves, to find that place within them that it's like, whew. And, and I kind of keep saying, I thought God said we're having a party. He
Yeah.
didn't tell me it was going to be so much work, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to honor that you're here and that there's a purpose for it, whatever it is, and understand that we're all evolving together because we are different and we are so beautiful in our differences, but we are all one too. One heart, we're all connected at that love level. And when we can find the love within ourselves, a lot of times at first it does start feeling like I'm selfish. Oh my gosh, I'm being so self-focused. Oh my gosh, I have to say no, to some behaviors that are happening outside. Sometimes we have to let some people go, and it does feel selfish. But when we honor that feeling, it begins to melt into that honoring of who we really are and allowing that love to emerge more powerfully within us. And things that you teach and share give people techniques.
Yes, they do. They do. And, just real quickly, and I know we're probably running short on time, but I do want to share this again from personal experience. And this was very illuminating to me about the importance of contrast, and that we don't have to draw such hard boundaries. I really struggled through the current political climate. I have strong opinions. And I kind of a benchmarking. A couple of years ago, I met somebody who couldn't be more the opposite from what I felt was right and necessary. And it was at a very heated time. And I was like, I can't associate with them because first I was judgment. And I was already on my shamanic path and I still felt justified in this. Sure. And I was thinking, they'll think I condone this. They'll think, how will they know if somebody, as self-important as me, who's on the right path, is breaking bread with them? They'll think I'm okay with it. And then how will they know? How will they know that they need to change?
Yeah.
And I lived in that. And I will tell you that Isabella called me on that and a couple of times. She knew this relationship and she was like, careful there, girl. You're on the shamanic path, And I was like, but it was like a math problem. I couldn't get it. I couldn't figure it out. I was like, but how will they know it's wrong? It's not okay. How will they know? Fast forward a couple of years, not with the same person, but a friend of mine who came to visit, who shared, again, a very different political perspective. And I thought, well, here it is. She's staying in my home. She's sharing things that I think are rather egregious. And that's okay. It was okay for me to think they were egregious, right? It was okay for me to think like, wow, that's not coming from what I consider a place of love and compassion and so on.
Right.
I let her speak her piece. I shared my perspective very calmly. And then I just picked up where we were and I just was her friend and we had a lovely time. She knew where I stood. She knew where my heart was. But you know what? Who would it have served if I gave her the cold shoulder or moved her out of my life? Is that demonstrating love? I just thought, wow. I sat there listening to her and I thought, there's a wound there that's motivating some of what she's saying. There's a not enoughness. There's not enough to go around. There's not enough this. There's not enough that. That's driving this. Yes. If I take my love from her, if I take my friendship from her, oh yeah, she'll know I don't condone it, but she also won't see what it means to love through it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that is a big moment for me. That was a big moment for me to be able to reconcile that and say, you don't have to give your stamp of approval to things that you think aren't serving the highest good, but you also still have to come from love.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we do, and embracing those differences, it takes two. Sometimes there are people that say, and it's not, we don't let go out of anger or anything. We let go out of sometimes just taking the time to find our own love space.
Exactly. You don't have to suffer toxic relationships either. But there is a way to do it. And I think when we've healed ourselves through love and working with our shadow, at least what we know is we're not just projecting onto people.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so our decisions become, we can be a little bit more confident in them, and we can still not attack we can just step back.
Yeah. And
It's a little
sharing.
different. Yes.
Yeah, we're all allowed our voice. This is one of the
Mhm.
things that we're struggling with right now
Yes.
too, is if you are different, if you have a different opinion than me, then you should be shut down.
Mhm.
And it's in the collective,
Yep.
and it's very powerful, and it's so
Mhm.
important. Thank you for sharing that, because we do have to allow everybody their voice. And
Mhm.
it's okay. We're not in peril because somebody has a different opinion,
Right.
on most fronts where we're
Right.
talking, you and I right here.
Yeah.
And it's so important that we begin to allow other people to speak their piece and to be in their place, and that we allow ourselves to speak it too.
Mhm.
We learn from each other, we grow from each other. Sometimes we go our separate ways. It's all okay. When we come to that space, the energy and the frequency begins to shift, even if we don't agree with what's happening. Even if we don't agree with it, we
True.
can project our love onto it.
Mhm.
So a little
Mm.
bit, a little bit.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I wanted to demonstrate to her that, you know, you don't have to, I, you don't have to be exactly on the same page to show love. You
Yeah,
don't.
to love each other.
Yes.
Exactly. Yep.
So,
And I
yeah.
think a lot of us are really programmed to anybody who's different.
Mhm.
And that's one thing that's really fun, is I find in kind of our circles, the more spiritual circles, a lot of people are very much like, oh, that's cool. Thank you for sharing that with me. This is how I look at it. And we're learning to work together. It's like, oh my gosh, I never thought about that. There's so much
Mhm.
learning and growth that comes from our differences.
Mhm.
And it's probably why we have them.
Mhm.
You
It's
know?
true. It's true. I mean, just that example I just gave you, it wasn't just a benchmark for me of understanding, which it was certainly that, but it was also a path forward for me. It was a blueprint of, this is how you do it. This is how you walk your talk. So it was really
Absolutely.
valuable. Without that difference, I wouldn't have really, without, everything's theory until you put it to the test, right?
Yeah. It's so true. It's all theory.
Yep.
Well, Judeanne, thank you so much for being here and sharing so much about this. I love where you have gone in your life and what you were doing. And I know that we have talked about getting together and sharing some stuff.
Yeah,
So I'll be contacting you
please do.
once I recover from this event.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Give me
it's
a
a
few
lot.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah, and definitely I look forward to experiencing some
Yeah. Thank you,
wonderful things
Michelle.
with you.
Thank you for putting this together. It is an
Mm.
act of love and dedication and vision for you to do this, to take the time to equip us with these wonderful, graphics and this platform, and you know, showing the opportunity to show up and share this with, who knows where this message will go right now and over time. And it's beautiful to be involved in. And I'm so grateful to you for giving me this opportunity to share my vision and to share my story and the practices and principles that I think are such a big part of moving us into this next dimension and being
Mhm.
in peace and light instead of conflict and hate.
Yeah. Thank you. I love that. What a beautiful ending. Everybody, Judeann Bodell, the
Yep.
shamaness. And you can find more information about her. There is a link in the information, the description takes you over to my website. On my website, you're going to find a big blue button. It says, give me my free videos. Click on that. We're going to send you an entire ebook of information about all of our speakers, contact information, where to get your free videos that everybody has provided. And a few of our speakers even have other free things beyond that for you. Most of our speakers have YouTube channels. Go check it out. Go fill yourself up with the love that these beautiful beings are bringing to you, that we all are holding you in. We know that really love is all there is, and that we're all connected, we're all one.
Mhm.
And also know that anyone that, needs help or has questions, please contact one of us. We are here for you. And so thank you so much. Thank you, Judeanne. You just continue to impress me
You're
with what
sweet.
a beautiful, amazing person you are. And you started out impressing me and you just keep getting better.
Well, I
And
appreciate
you
you
were
saying that. That means
perfect
a lot
before.
coming from you, Michelle. It really does. It means a lot. I hold you in the highest esteem and regard, and I
Oh, thank
admire the
you.
work that you do so much and your complete commitment to it. And I've been so blessed to have wonderful mentors and teachers in my life on this path, and I count you amongst one of the most important to me. So thank you.
Wow, thank you. Wow.
It's true. I'm
Trying to
not just
make
saying
me
it.
cry.
I'm not just blowing love at you.
I'll take it though.
Yeah, you're
Thank
amazing,
you.
and I love you. So thank you,
Thank you. Oh, I love you
everybody.
too.
Enjoy.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you for
Bye.
being here.